Yesterday, the Cavs got their 2024-2025 schedule released along with the rest of the NBA. A couple quick highlights in case you didn't do a deep dive through the schedule, but the Cavs opened the season on the second night of the season. That is on the road for the fourth straight year in Toronto on the 23rd. Their first home game on the 25th against former head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, an immediate homecoming for the Cavs and Bickerstaff. They have 16 national TV games, 16 backs-to-backs. They end the season on the 13th of April against Indiana. A couple more notes just to keep an eye on. They got 16 games in March. 10 of those 16 are on the road again. They have 2 different West Coast trips, and they're part of Group C in the Emirates NBA Cup. Ty, when you look at the schedule.
Wait, Mike, before you ask Tyvis
just mention the NBA Cup?
I needed a ninth ball.
And Mike said backs-to-backs.
Back-to-backs. What did I say?
How many national TV games did they have last year? Do you remember?
15.
Oh, wow, so they went down one.
No, I'm sorry, 17. It's one fewer than last year, 17.
Oh, they have
one
16.
fewer than last year.
Weird. Okay. The first thing that jumped out at me, first of all, I care zero about the NBA schedule. Zero.
I know.
It's like the Major League schedule. I do look at the last week just because I want to know, like, all right, if they're in a playoff race, is this something that you can count on a couple of wins? But the first thing I thought of, that their first home game is against Detroit. It's their second game of the season. I hope Detroit plays this like a playoff game, because if they do, we got a great chance. Because JB's record in the playoff is not good. So, and I know that's not very nice. I know that's not very nice. But I can just see them, he's got 3 circles around that date.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I hope it's just me being extremely nervous about things I shouldn't be nervous about, but that would be an awful loss. So win that one. Win your home opener against Detroit. Other than that, it's not like the NFL schedule where you can get into it really.
No.
I look at the NBA schedule and I'm like, okay, there it is.
Are they playing on Christmas Day? They never play on Christmas Day, right?
No, their most marquee, I guess, game essentially is New Year's Eve, which is not super marquee, but
that's
it's
not
one of
marquee
a
at
couple.
all.
That's have a
off Broadway.
Yeah, but it's a nationally televised game against a prominent West Coast opponent on that road trip.
They told you exactly what they feel about them by Minimowski and them, that schedule. They went ahead and minus all them little games. Look, man, they was like, did the Cavs make any moves?
Nope.
We're still waiting on those moves.
They have not added a single player, right?
That is wild.
No.
I've never – listen.
They fired their coach.
In the world of doubling down, this is the greatest double down in history. This is you split aces. You just split an ace, and then you split it again, and you split it again, and you put all your house on it. This is crazy. Not what Mikey McNuggets was like, yo, we're not – listen, Ultimate Cavs is not going back on until we make a move.
I did not do a show yesterday, and I was wrong. They do play on New Year's Eve against the Warriors. They play the Lakers on New Year's Eve. That's the televised game I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I think what it says is the fact that they didn't make any moves. And I've said this before on the show. I'll repeat it. It surprises me that it took them so long to fire JB.
Right.
Because he clearly was the only thing wrong with this team.
Apparently so.
And it took them over a week to fire the guy.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say the season doesn't go well. Who's next?
Well, the GM is right.
100%.
He's on the hot seat.
So let me get this right.
Gone.
He's the only one left.
What do you consider it not going well? Because they went further in the playoffs than ever with JB. So what do they have to get to?
Further than ever.
Well, not ever.
If they
but like
don't
in recency, since post
If they're not in the Eastern Conference Finals, deuces.
Really?
Wow. That's a high bar.
Because
I kind of agree. Now, listen.
What about the scenario? What about the scenario before you go? Okay, go ahead. The reason, because you ran it back 3 years in a row. That's 3 years you ran it back, Tyvis. So you made the decision that there was nothing wrong. You ran it back. And every single year, you never progressed.
They got better one.
Well, they did progress a little.
They made it one further.
So that means next year they would win a first round series against the Hawks or whoever it is.
Yeah, that next step would put them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
The next step is Eastern Conference, and there's no way to do it.
What if they lost to the Celtics in a hard-fought, everybody's healthy 7-game series in 7 games?
Again,
in the first round?
The second round.
And the Celtics go on to win the NBA championship like they did this past year?
Right.
There's no consolation for losing.
No, but I'm saying,
I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, I mean, am I firing GML for that?
I don't think you do. Not for that. We know what a flameout looks like.
Yeah, we do.
The Knicks, that was a flameout. 2 years ago when they crept down their leg in the first round of the playoff series. If they do that again, we're talking about more changes.
But, how often do a coach go to a new team and immediately they just pick right up?
Steve Kerr.
That's different
Tyvis,
though.
I'll tell you why.
What do you mean why that's different?
Yeah, but
two of
Tyvis,
the best shooters of all time.
Because this roster isn't the typical roster that gets a coach fired. Typically, a coach that's getting fired, their team won 15 to 20 games, and they're light years away, so they pivot. This team has told us with their inactivity on the roster, we love our roster. We love our roster like the Browns love the wide receiver room. It was all the coach.
I mean, in fairness, they are saying that.
They are.
How can you? This is the thing about basketball. When you just look at it, you can look at a basketball team and be like, are you good or no? Are you going to compete or not? And
you look at the Cavs and you don't feel that?
Bro, they got smoked by the Knicks.
That was 2 years ago.
Guess what? And the Knicks are infinitely better.
Are they though?
Are we going to play that game?
Are they?
Are they? They got Bridges. They got Ananobi. They signed him. They got Julius Randle coming back. You couldn't do nothing with Robinson. He's still back.
Is Robinson still there?
DiVincenzo is shooting threes.
They did lose one of their guys, Hartenstein.
But they got Josh Hart, who's a 6'5" dude that gets 95 rebounds.
Cavs got no wing players. They got 13
7
wing
Well,
players.
There is a trade rumor that we're going to discuss in the half hour on Channel 3
coming
up at 11:30.
I did not make this.
No, this was a report.
They've been talking about this for a while.
And it's got legs. Not necessarily all the pieces, but there's something. There's legs to this Yang to the Nets
for what?
For something. We'll get into that in the TV show. But listen. If they pull off this trade, and this is, again, I don't want to go into
That's
it.
a fleece.
This is a teaser for the half-hour show at WKYC.
They fleece,
if they pull off this trade, I think everybody on this panel and McNuggets would admit they address their glaring weakness. Their glaring weakness. Now, you're looking at me like you don't agree with that.
I'm going to wait till the TV
Watch
show.
and win. Okay, I like what you did there. Because I'm curious to see what you think about that.